Hi students! In my week 3 announcement video, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about some additional resources for some topics that were covered in week 2. I also want to do a little bit of discussion about the exam next week and talk about what you can expect for that. And then finally, I'm going to go over the week 3 course materials. So the first thing that I wanted actually to do was to just sort of point out to everyone this additional resource folder. And I know in any given week, there's a lot of information. Between the readings and the lecture videos and the notes and the assignments, it's probably a lot. But I also want to point out these additional resources. And the reason why I want to put a little emphasis on there is because some of these things I think could be very, very useful in helping your understanding of the concepts that we're discussing. So in particular, this last week, week 2, we talked about the structure of DNA and we talked about protein synthesis. I have 2 worksheets here that actually help you practice those things. So one is actually a labeled model of DNA with all of the different pieces labeled, and it's sort of very nice black and white, easy to understand model that shows you where everything is. And then the next thing I have is this protein synthesis activity where I give you example strands of DNA. I have you replicate those. I have you transcribe and translate those, so you go through all of the processes. And the answer key is part of this as well, so you can check your understanding as you go along the way. So again, I know it's just one more thing, right? And there's plenty to go over and learn in any case. But I just wanted to point these things out because there were a few questions on the Socrative board that I saw, and I'm sure there will be more questions that will come across, and these are the resources that I'm going to point you to in those directions for when you do have those questions. So just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of those. The next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about a little bit about what to expect for the exam, which is in week 4. So you'll notice that I have created a new folder here called Exam Study Materials. And this folder has a few different things. I've got information about the exam. The exam is going to run during the 4th week of class. There's nothing else you need to do that week. All you have to do is take the exam. It becomes available Monday of week 4, and it will be available all week through Sunday evening. Okay? You'll have 90 minutes to take the exam. Please note that you can't stop and pause and come back and return later. So you have to complete it in one sitting. So please make sure when you sit down to take this exam, you're ready to finish it out. Okay? Again, you've got 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, the exam's going to auto-submit. So you can't go back. Okay? There's no backtracking. Once you've answered a question, you have to kind of keep going. A couple of other things. I use a proctoring program called HonorLock. There's a video about it that shows it to you right here. HonorLock's really simple. All you need is to use the Google Chrome browser. So the Google Chrome browser, if you're not familiar with it, is the one that looks like a colored circle with a dot in the middle of it with colors that should remind you of Google. This is the Chrome browser. If you don't have the Chrome browser, it's easy to download onto your computer. Once you have the Chrome browser open, you can come to the exam. You'll navigate to the exam. You'll click on the link for the exam, and it will automatically check to see that you have the right add-on for HonorLock. If you don't have it, it'll say, you're missing this add-on. Would you like to download it? You just click yes, please, and then you're all set and you're ready to go. So this particular instruction video gives you some information. Please note, I do require you to have a webcam, but I am not doing a couple of things that you'll see on the video. So I am not doing a scan of your environment. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing an ID check, so I don't need you to hold up your ID and tell me who you are. I'm trusting that it's you taking the exam and not somebody else. So some of the things you see in the video, you're not going to see on my exam, and that's okay. I just have different security settings, basically, is the idea here. So I just want you to be aware of that. This is the study guide. So this study guide is very kind of broad and general. So I'm not very specific with my study guide, but the idea is that it gives you a good idea of big topics and big concepts that you're going to want to study. So let's see if we can get this opened up here real quick for y'all. It's just a syllabus in the background. All right, while the study guide is working, let's just come back to the folder here. The other thing that you're going to find in this folder is you're going to find a sign-up sheet for study sessions. So if you are interested in a live study session, so that means face-to-face with me, I would be happy to schedule that. But in order to schedule that, I need to know who would like to come and when you're interested in coming. So I've created this really simple sign-up sheet. I've posted several days during the exam week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of exam week, and I've given several different time slots, morning, afternoons, evenings. Tell me when you're interested. If I can get enough students interested, and typically I like to have at least 5 students who say they're interested in a session in order to schedule one. So if I can get at least 5 of you to say, yes, this is really great, I'd love to have this session, I'm more than happy to schedule that session for you. And then you would, I'll use, oops, I keep doing that. I will use, oh, here's our study guide, by the way. I'll use Blackboard Collaborate, and it's a link right in Blackboard that you all can click on, and then we can have a live session where you ask me questions about the exam. So speaking of the exam, here's our study guide, okay? So again, it's big ideas, big concepts. It's not individual vocabulary or things like that, right? I'm sort of stressing here the big stuff, right? So what's a cell and what's in it, and what is DNA, and what's the cell cycle, what are the steps, right? So the idea here is I'm keeping it intentionally broad and intentionally vague. And I know for some of you, you might be like, oh, I'd really like to have more detail. But remember, I'm letting you use this on the exam itself. And because I'm giving you the ability to use this as a study aid to take the exam, I'm essentially saying this study guide is what you make of it. So if you put down a lot of detail and a lot of information and you prepare yourself very well and you have lots of stuff to put on here, you're going to be in really good shape for the exam because you're going to have that with you. If you don't put much into it and you don't really write much down, this isn't going to be a very useful tool for you. So again, it all depends on sort of how much time and effort you put into preparing. So hopefully the idea here is that you will, again, put a good amount of time, create a nice filled out study guide, and you'll be in really good shape to take the exam. So that was just, again, the study sign up. So again, if you're interested in that, go ahead and sign up for that anytime between now and when the study sessions start. Like I said, it's something that if I can get at least a handful of students who are interested in, I'll go ahead and hold a study session. The idea would be you'd come, you'd bring your questions for me, like you'd have your study guide with you and you say, I really don't know where to find this information. Or alternately, you know, I filled this out, but I'm really unsure of my answer. Can you help me? That's the idea behind the study sessions. All right, so let's go back to our learning modules and let's go back to week 3. We have 2 topics left to cover this week. So we're going to be talking about genetic mutations and we're going to be talking about chromosomes, mostly in the discussion of chromosomes with chromosomal abnormalities. So we're going to talk about what happens when things go wrong, right? Okay, so we've learned about all these different pieces and we've learned about cells and we know how they replicate and we understand how proteins are made and we get all of this. But there's an important step here, an important sort of side step before we start talking about inheritance. It's what happens when things go wrong? What happens when we don't build the protein we thought we were going to build because a change happened to our DNA? Or what happens when those chromosomes don't line up in the middle of our cell the way they're supposed to and they don't separate how we thought they would? What happens? So that's what you're going to be learning about in this week. So again, I have 2 lecture videos and 2 chapters for you to discuss. I also have, as far as assignments go, sort of our normal assignments, adaptive practice modules, which there are only 2 this week. So 1 for mutations and 1 for chromosomes. So that's it. So you just have the 2 to work on. And then, of course, the discussion post and the check-in as normal. Again, thank you for posting your questions on there. I will answer those this week. You'll be able to go to the discussion board, and there'll be a new forum here that says answers to Socratic questions. And I haven't created it yet because I'm waiting until I close the survey to answer those questions before I post them. But once I do that, I will go ahead and post them there. So that, I think, about does it for this week. Again, if you have any questions, please, please, please let me know. If you're not able to make one of the study sessions, but you just want me to look over your study guide, you can send it to me. Just email it to me. Be like, hey, I don't have a chance to go to one of these sessions. I've got work, I've got whatever, I have things I have to do. Here's my study guide. Can you look it over and make sure I have everything? I would be happy to do that for you. I'll take a look at it. I'll say, oh, this is great, but here's where I think you should add more. Or, you know what, maybe this isn't quite the right answer. Maybe you should go in this direction. So I am very, very happy to give you feedback on your study guides. You just need to send those my way. That's it for today. Let's see if, like I said, if y'all have any more questions, please let me know. It's hot out there. Stay cool, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all later.